Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to our Natural Health News live show. I'm very excited to bring to you some amazing news straight off the presses, straight from the CDC and some antibody tests. I have a ton of reports. I've printed out a lot for us to go over and review. So welcome all of you here on Instagram and YouTube. YouTube's running slow again today, so hopefully we won't get kicked off like we were yesterday, and that video is still actually being processed. So, but at any rate, welcome to all of you. For if any of you are new and joining, welcome. My name is Dr. Melissa Gallagher. I am a naturopathic physician, and my background is using functional medicine and homeopathy, natural methodologies like nutrition and balancing the body, and utilizing herbal therapies and other modalities to address the root cause of illness and disease within your body. And this live show, I think we're going on like 38. This might be our 38th live show. So every morning I am broadcasting live with new viral updates, new information, news, and then also tips for you. So today I'm going to share with you an essential homeopathic that everybody should get in their arsenal of resources. You know, this is one of these shows where I have a lot of news. I always kind of tie in my news of the day to potentially a health tip or resource that'll help you. So there's some really mind-blowing data that has come out of California that'll knock your socks off. And kind of repositioning, at least for us and our family, it's repositioning our thought process of what reopening looks like. And so we'll dig into that. But welcome all of you on the YouTube live show. Please give me a thumbs up. For all of you watching on the replay, this is a live show, and same here on Instagram. This is very engaging. This is a time for us to come together and chat and communicate. So it's not edited. This is not going to be my traditional edited video content. I've gotten a lot of flack about it. And I'm not just talking and babbling. I'm trying to give you guys information that is current to date. So for all of you who are on the live, this is like a natural news show. And then the latter part of it is very similar to what my traditional video content would be. But again, it's not edited. So I might flub things or say things improperly or mispronounce things or whatnot, but it's not edited. So this is totally raw and real. And that's the beauty of the live show. The other thing too, because a lot of us in the YouTube sphere are going live, it slows things down. So that I think is what happened yesterday with bandwidth. But okay, so welcome all of you. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment box below, both YouTube and Instagram. Where are you tuning in from? I see a lot of familiar faces. We've got Michelle, Kimberly Lacey. Let's see here. V. Wells. Good morning. Whitney. Good morning. We watched a ton of SpaceX this morning. Gabriel's very excited. We watched your videos, by the way. Thank you. My little man is loving YouTube because of homeschooling. Almost every morning we watch something about Elon Musk, SpaceX, exploration, International Space Station. He's totally into that. So I see Karen and Vicky's over here. Pat, welcome. Pat's our moderator. Thank you, Pat, for all you do. And Gloria, Marina, Kay Jefferson. Good morning. Okay, so let's dig into news. So the big news is that the world is almost at 2.5 million cases. The US is we're going to hit probably in the next, but I'd say in the time of our live show, we're going to hit 800,000 cases. So we're inching our way up to the million mark. We will get there if we have more testing. But then we just want to kind of list like the top 6 or 8 states. So New York is almost at 250,000 cases. New Jersey's at 88, Massachusetts 39,000, California 33, Pennsylvania 33, Michigan 32, Illinois 31, and Florida is at 27,000. And you guys know I live in Georgia. Georgia's just announced yesterday. I read this article from Vanity Fair saying he might be the stupidest, nominated for the stupidest governor. But anyway, in Georgia, they are reopening on the 24th. So this Friday, they are going to open hair salons because God forbid we have any roots showing. Hair salons, barber shops, gyms, because sweating and exhaling with all your friends is so powerful. Sorry, Instagram. Let's see, gyms are opening, theaters, movie theaters, because, hey, just cram people in and have them breathing all over. So that's what Georgia is dealing with. Florida is in its own bag of chaos down there. I monitor that because I had a business. I have family down there, so I have all my good friends that are down there. But I want to kind of dig into some data. So welcome all of you who got South Carolina. Oh, Jana, thank you for the puzzle, by the way. I'm so glad you're on. We loved it. Gabriel's working on something for you, very special. So we had a really great time going over that really cute puzzle. So by the way, we have pen pals happening. And so I'll make sure I include our home address. So if you want to mail us a letter, we are posting them back here. Instagram, you can't really see. But back here, I have on my little white space back there, I have a little shelf. It's kind of fun with Gabriel. He gets excited. We clean everything. And so Valentine's Way is down in Florida. Okay, good morning, sunshine, Elizabeth. Yay. All right, so let's go into some data. I have 3 major reports we're going to go over. So you guys know I've been kind of on a weekly basis reviewing information that comes out of the CDC. Their MMWR is a weekly morbidity mortality weekly report. They actually put out a lot of stuff. Some of it came out early, but this is kind of crazy. And this is coming out of the FDA. But cleaning and disinfectant chemical exposure, there's an actual data, a little research from January 1st to March 31st. And the U.S. poison controls actually had an increase of poison calls due to disinfectants by 20%. So a lot of us are using, chemical agents. We are, people are using bleaches, hydrogen peroxide. They're using, other disinfectants, and it kind of breaks out like alcohol, non-alcohol, sanitizers. But there were a lot of calls, and they even included the District of Columbia and then 4 U.S. territories in this. And so they actually break down, this is crazy, cleaners and disinfectants, like the amount of calls. You can kind of see like the increase as everybody is trying to be safe, clean their items coming into their home. They broke out, unfortunately, the group with the highest calls are children. So infants and kids up to the age of 5 comprise the greatest quantity. And then next up, 20 to 59. So it's possible they were calling for maybe their own exposure or for an infant. But ingestion was the biggest cause. So make sure, this report, make sure you put these things away so that children cannot get them. That's one of the reasons why I love Force of Nature as our main cleaning resource. I use that all the time. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know I did like happy dances because I guess with everything kind of changing, with world going back to normal here, I was able to get an Instacart shopper in like less than 2 hours. And so I had a Target run, real minor Target run and a Publix run. And they were able to get everything that I needed. Like we were running a little low on toilet paper. And I was like, you know what, let's just see. I try every time toilet paper and, the Lysol wipes just to have those. Well, they found them at actually both locations. The disinfectants, actually, they didn't have those at Target, but I got toilet paper. To like Target brand and Cottonelle. It's my favorite. So that was really exciting. But what is interesting though is that, what people are doing is they're creating chlorine. So, they have even a case, like case 1, an adult woman heard on the news to clean all recently purchased groceries before cleaning them. Or before consuming them. So she filled a sink, she added 10% bleach, vinegar, hot water, and then she soaked her produce in it. So the other thing is just these people are not, kind of adhering to safe practices, partially because they just aren't tuned into the chemistry of it. But definitely whatever you do, there are a lot of different ways to clean naturally your vegetables. If you guys want me to do a video on that, I'm more than happy to. But Force of Nature is still producing. We had a major onslaught of sales and just, high demand. They've caught up with that. I know a lot of you, it took maybe 2.5 weeks to get your items. They're pumping those out faster. Whitney, love our force in nature. Yay. So let me do this. I'm going to grab the link here because I know that YouTube, you're going to want that link. And let me grab that really fast. Okay. So I have my because I did my DIY virus-free mail. I should have titled it a little differently, but it's all the same in terms of just cleaning packages. So I'm going to post that here. Let me go back to that. Okay. So that is it. So, just be really cognizant. If you do have these types of cleaning items, you keep them, up high and away from children, but that's where we saw the greatest quantity of cases, calls. Ingestion was the big thing. And the next one was inhalation. So people, maybe using too much and it just was intense. And that's, bleach definitely can be very bad for your lungs. So just be very cognizant and cautious of what, how you're consuming it. Again, what I now recommend in these cases where people aren't necessarily using things that they're used to would be to wear a mask and gloves, even in the whole cleaning process. So, the mask will protect yourself as well. And I have some links, YouTube, to my friend Sarah. She's still pumping out masks for everybody. So let's see. Let me see if I can get in to edit this. Okay, so now this is really big. So the other report that came out is there's actually tons of data. But the Morbidity Mortality Weekly Report also detailed the characteristics of the healthcare professionals. So 2-3 weeks ago, we got a sense of who all was dealing with this virus and with the breakdown of the age groups. Well, they're analyzing the healthcare professionals. And this is going to be critical data because we need to also know the national workforce, how it's going to impact these individuals, how to keep them healthy and safe from an essential worker perspective, but then also potential risk factors, like are there ways to keep some of these individuals healthier or maybe support them further? So they actually look at the kind of rice. This is the American rice, and it's kind of hard. They have only 2 colors. So they have the blue, and then they've got the, kind of gray blue, and then the royal blue. And let me just make sure YouTube, you guys can see this. Okay. So, these are just everyday people coming in, non-healthcare workers. These are the frontline healthcare workers. And you see the kind of surge, it meets, very similar to surge capacity. So, there's a delay in their exposure because these folks are coming into the hospital, and then you see this time frame. And it's about, about 9 to 10 days. So there's a 9 to 10 day delay in terms of that exposure. And obviously, they said that there was a 4-day interval from symptom onset to the time that the specimens were collected. So there's also that variable in terms of when they might have had symptoms and gotten tested. They then break down the demographics. So of the healthcare workers, who all is being most impacted. And let me just I'm going to put in this description box, the Force in Nature link. So YouTube, it's in the chat box. So the individuals, healthcare workers, 16 to 44 is the greatest quantity hit. So 55% of almost 9,000 individuals, 16 to 44. And that is very counter to what we had heard in the beginning. Oh, it's an older person's illness. Oh, folks 70, 60 to 80, they tend to be the most hit. So that is one thing, just to note that the healthcare workers, the most impact is 16 to 44. And 16 could very well be, a volunteer in the hospital, somebody at the front desk. It could very well be somebody, running charts. So it's kind of interesting. 16 is in that category. So, but in terms of the difference, there are more women, 73% of healthcare workers who have tested positive, they're women. I don't know specifically the percentage breakdown of the females in healthcare versus males. So that's a big question mark of is it just because there's a greater quantity of females working in these hospitals? Because we know just from other research that men tend to be harder hit. So the male population has always had, at least up to this point, a greater percentage of cases. So, it's like maybe 0.5% or 0.8%. Race, they break down race. 2,700 are white, 801 are black. So an Asian 5%. So they've got 5% Asian, 21% black, 72% white, and 2% is listed as other. And then they break down ethnicity, Hispanic/Latino and non-Hispanic/Latino. And I'll show you that right there. They kind of break that down. It's kind of interesting. Some of these, 90% were non-Hispanic. And exposure. So they actually kind of break down 4 categories of possible exposure. Only healthcare. So only working in their job, 55%. So we know that 55% of these individuals, their exposure was in the hospital. So poor PPE, procedures, overexposure, all of the things that come with the safety factors in the hospital setting. Only household exposure, 27%. So 27% of the healthcare providers who had it did not get it from the hospital itself. They got it from the household exposure. Now, there's a big question mark that this poses. Were they maybe a carrier? Are there antibodies that we could test with those individuals? So like, did they carry it to the household or vice versa? But, that's what they assessed. And then only community exposure is 13%. So that would be, grocery shopping, malls, parties, church services, and then multi-exposure settings, 5%. Symptoms, the most common symptoms for healthcare workers were fever, cough, and shortness of breath. 92% had that. Cough, 78% had that. Fever, 68%. 66% had muscle aches, 65 had headaches, 41 had shortness of breath, sore throat, 38, diarrhea. And remember some of those symptoms I went over 3 weeks ago, the GI stuff was not always included. And now we see 32% of these individuals had diarrhea, nausea and or vomiting. 16% had the 2 taste and smell loss. No video IG. Are you guys catching video right now? Oh, goodness. Hopefully, technology is killing me. Okay. Abdominal pain, 12% had a runny nose. So it's possible just from the symptoms that we had gone over that maybe those individuals might have also had allergies too. I mean, there's some things in here that traditionally we wouldn't say are the true symptoms of it, but that's where we're at. Let's see. Let me see what else I can pull out for you that I thought was really important. I think the household component. Okay, this is the key stuff. Okay, so out of 8 to 10% were hospitalized. So 723 were hospitalized. Of that, 184, so 2 to 5%. Were actually in need of ICU. So they got admitted to the ICU, meaning ventilation, intubation. And of that, we've had 27 die. And that's a 0.3 to 0.6% mortality rate. So, the hospital status of all these individuals, 84% are known. So there's still some things that are unknown in terms of whether those people were just self-treating or whatnot. So that is really, I think, really key in terms of just what we know about healthcare. We are going to continue to see this impact this community, and so that I'll include. Oops, I have to move my front. I'll include the links to this. Let's see how many last some pages. Here we are. So I'll include this on the description box. These are all straight off the CDC website. And then this is really fascinating. So, I've had you guys ask a lot of questions about antibody testing, and we have a lot of information kind of swirling around right now. just globally, we're not testing enough for the actual tests of the virus, but there's an underlying current. So, yesterday I went over this big document. I don't know if you guys grabbed this, but it's so great. The roadmap to pandemic resilience. This is on yesterday's live video. Yesterday was a two-parter. For some reason, the YouTube video, it just stopped. So we got a super chat from one of our fabulous viewers. So I scrolled up and it just stalled. So I highlight this and it's linked in both of the videos. And one of them is now processed. But this came out of Harvard and their Center for Ethics. And it was in conjunction with the Rockefeller Center. They're professionals from Microsoft and a lot of thought leaders that detail the kind of how for us to reopen our economy and get back to some new normal. What they identify is we need to do massive scale testing. And the testing is not just, saliva, blood, or, the little nose swab of the virus testing. They talk about antibody testing. And then from there, they talk about contact tracing. And then they also talk about isolation. And, the things that we have not seen yet here in the US. And I've been talking about this for a few weeks. When one family member gets it, they self-isolate at home, and we're seeing other partners or family members get it. Like, you've got a case of some very famous people. We have, she was on The View for a little while. I think she's on The View. No, she wasn't on The View, but she's a blonde reporter. I remember Oprah used to have her on a lot, and she's married to George Stephanopoulos. Well, she had it. Well, guess who has it? Her husband. Stephanopoulos has the virus. Also, Andrew Cuomo, he had it. He's been very bold and still reporting at home. And he's a CNN anchor, I think, at the 9 p.m. news hour. And his wife has it. And what they're seeing is there's kind of a difference between like the first person who has it and the second person. But what they've identified is that supported isolation is going to be critical. And what they've seen successful in other countries is literally people, even children, there's an isolation apart from other family members, and we isolate and things get back to normal. Oh, Chris Cuomo. Yeah, sorry. I get the two mixed up. And they're really funny. Like I watch some of the little reruns of their like brotherly antics. It's really, really funny. So Chris Cuomo is the reporter. Andrew is the governor who does his daily reports. But Chris, his wife, Christina, she now has the virus. So the two of them are both quarantined at home, and they have a 17-year-old and they've got younger kids. Like, can you even imagine? And as parents, that's something like Brian and I have talked about. Like, what do we do? And I told him the other day, I'm like, one of us would have to go to a hotel. I mean, we just have to cut off, and like the other one would have to really clean, but it's too risky. It's too risky. So, but yeah, so with that, this roadmap, it's worthy of reading. I mean, it's so powerful. Just the data. I mean, they're talking about like the mechanisms of testing, business roles, who all is involved, community mitigation. This is awesome. This will be studied, down the road. If Gabriel goes to college and studies anything like this will be part of like kind of the foundation of how to address this type of thing in the future. So with that, that's kind of on the backdrop of this. But Santa Clara County in California, they did they worked with Stanford. So Stanford University, the medical school, they tested citizens, residents in Santa Clara. And so the idea was from on the 3rd and 4th of April, they tested county residents. They did antibody testing. So 2 days of antibody testing. And they did a total of 3,300 people. So 3,330 people. They adjusted it based on zip code, sex, and race/ethnicity. And they did have different manufacturers. And then they had some positive and negative control groups. So what they identified was that the county itself listed 1,000 cases. So the county had tested, and they were showcasing through the health department that there were 1,000 positive cases. Okay, so this antibody test happens, last week, Friday and Saturday, or 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks, third, the Easter weekend, Friday and Saturday. What they get from this is they get that there is an intense amount of asymptomatic spread. They identified that 4.1% of these individuals, 4.1, it's really 2.9 to 4.16%, have had past infection, asymptomatic, had no idea that they had been exposed or were carrying. And what they did is they then look at the prevalence estimate. So this is that projection of, okay, so we know the in naught, that's the kind of multiplier of this virus, of where we see that if, you and I and like 10 other people have contact, like what that looks like. And some in naughts are, 3 to 4 times, others are 5 to 10. They looked at this and they calculated that anywhere between a range of 48,000 to 81,000 people in early April have had exposure or had the virus, which means it's a 50 to 85 times what the caseload is. So if 1,000 tested positive, what this antibody test analyzes based on this control, the group of 3,300 people and the county's quantity, they just basically said, okay, this is a rough idea of the snapshot of our county. And we're going to then multiply that out based on the quantity of individuals in the county. This tells us a lot about the potential infection rate in a county. Is this mind-blowing to you guys? It's pretty crazy. Oh, by the way, I'm drinking I had to have caffeine this morning. I didn't even make it keto. I was up late last night reading. Okay, so, but, the conclusion here, and they break out a whole lot, they kind of introduce the, what test kits were taken, the R naught, the kind of representative, all just the details of like, what does this look like within this county? But the conclusion is that the population prevalence of this viral antibodies in Santa Clara County implies that the infection is much more widespread than indicated by the number of confirmed cases. Population prevalence estimates can now be used to calibrate epidemic and mortality projections. So this is a really interesting analysis, and it really highlights like what this roadmap suggests. So if you can get antibody testing of a county, you get a snapshot of what the virus looks like, the prevalence, how many people are going to be impacted. Then you take on, now we've got some data about our healthcare professionals. You can start to estimate what are your staffing level needs in a hospital system. How many people are going to be impacted? So you got your modeling in terms of when potentially your peak is, how many people do you need, ventilation to, medication to sedate people, to the dialysis units, because that's a big factor. Nobody's really talking about all the kidney disease that's getting rocked or the kidney impairments from this. This is really, really big. And so this allows not only just a county and a city and businesses, employees and employers to analyze and say, okay, maybe we do a little bit of a lockdown for 2 or 3 weeks, because the antibodies are going to tell us a lot more about what's going on. And they also backdate. So antibodies are going to be indicative of an infection. And so there's a lot that comes from this. So this is quite fascinating. And let me see if I can grab that link for you guys. I'll grab that PDF and put on the actual video content itself. So, but it is very, very interesting, that we've got data. We're starting to see more data, newer data that can help us be predictive. And so the way, if we're able to be more predictive, then we can actually be more armed and dangerous. Because at this point, we don't have enough tests. We don't know a whole lot about the state of the virus, and how do we even address this as a community. So the links to some of these PDFs. I just posted that. The CDC one I've got to get a little bit more on. Sometimes if I post the actual CDC link, it'll get dinged by YouTube. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to highlight today. Now I want to talk to you about a homeopathic remedy. And this is, and I had all of you vote, and still the polls live on our YouTube community tab. So please go and vote if you haven't. We've had almost 500 people vote about what topics do you want to hear more about. Digestion was a big one. And, I've got my talking shit show. I haven't actually done that. And so if I do it live, it's going to be a different setup. And it's a lot of kind of moving pieces, but I want to do that. And so I'm going to probably ask another poll to get specifics. But today's topic, particularly this one, it's a Peruvian bark I want to talk about. And the homeopathic is definitely one that if I were working specifically with a patient dealing with this, or in our own lives want to build up an arsenal, if we do come down with the virus, what would we take homeopathically? It would be this one. So there's a link down below. We're going to talk about the Cinchona officinalis. And cinchona is a plant. It's an actual tree. The bark is what is extracted, and then we make homeopathics out of it. The bark itself has been used for hundreds of years. The Peruvian, it's been a powerhouse in Peruvian medicine for ages. Then when the Jesuits conquered Peru and came in and kind of took over, they actually were introduced to this plant and this tree bark by the indigenous populations, and they actually used it for a lot of resources. So I'm going to list kind of the benefits here. It's very digestive friendly because it helps promote good digestive. They say digestive juices, but essentially it helps promote the digestive process. It helps support the liver. Most importantly is if you have any stomach issues, GERD, gas, bloating, it can be impactful for that. It's an alkaloid, which is really great at supporting antibacterial. So there's an antimicrobial aspect to it. It also is known for, and some of the names of the plant are actually like fever reducer. So it reduces fever. And because we are dealing with a lot of this the viral state, a lot of people are having 101, 102 fevers for 10, 15, 18 days. This is a good one to just kind of support the system. It has been and is currently used as the main plant derivative, the core source of malaria or anti-malaria pills. So when we think about how can this, and the homeopathic is a different thing. So this is not an extract because that's often been minimized by the FDA. This is a homeopathic version. So this is a safer way of introducing potentially a toxic substance into the body and it'll give us the same reaction without the toxicity or some of the red tape of the regulations around this. So I say that because this Peruvian bark, the Cinchona officinalis, is a powerhouse of reducing the viral or bacterial load on the body. It is perfect for folks who have gone through a cold, a flu, or a major viral invasion, like the one that is roaming through the world right now. It will help minimize that fatigue. So, when folks are down for 2 or 3 weeks and their body's in this immune attack, it's very fatiguing. And this supports and bolsters the body. It oxygenates the system. And the other thing too that happens is a lot of times with any type of fever, you get a lot of hydration exiting the body. And a lot of times too, the nausea and the diarrhea that might accompany a flu, or in this case, this virus, it can drain the body of electrolytes. And so it is very, very powerful at supporting all of those aspects. And that is very exciting because when we kind of look at, even for folks who are asymptomatic, there still could be an immune burden. And this is something that we aren't even there yet in analyzing. But just think about Epstein-Barr virus. We know a lot of times and I've had it it is what changed my life. It got me into this role and studying nutrition, and then going in and seeking a doctorate in naturopathic medicine. I had a virus overtake my body, and I was devastated by it. I mean, I have video content where I share that story, but it was life-changing. And this was a homeopathic that was one of the ones in my mix. But the viral burden, I carried that for years. My exposure was in middle school. One of my friends had it. And then I also had additional exposure in college. We had a girl in our dorm floor. She was 3 doors down. She went home for Thanksgiving and apparently had the virus and never came back because her younger sibling had the chicken pox, and her immune system was so weak, she didn't make it. And that was devastating. So there are 2 instances in my life where I had viral exposure, but it never showed itself until I was physically, emotionally, mentally down, and then it pounced. And so there's a possibility that this could be impactful in supporting your body, even if you are an asymptomatic carrier. But most importantly, for folks who are dealing with fatigue, electrolyte loss, gastro issues, bloating. And then let's talk about some of the digestive components. Candida, yeast overgrowth. That's a very, very problematic bacterial imbalance in your digestive system. One of the most impactful ways to eradicate that, along with the therapies that I recommend, would be to use this type of homeopathic because it has an antimicrobial, antibacterial property. It can eradicate and assist your body in getting rid of candida yeast, systemic candida. That is candida also that roams through the blood and takes effect in the sinuses, in our throat and our mouths and all of our mucosal membranes. And so that is something that really is very impactful. So I wanted to highlight that because the other thing too, this Peruvian bark, the derivative is also used in heart conditions. And so we do know that a lot of the virus, it puts a burden on the respiratory system, but it also puts a burden on the vascular system. So from varicose veins, leg cramps, hemorrhoids, this is very impactful for that. This is in some of my homeopathic leg cramp and hemorrhoidal creams and products. It'll be a blend of homeopathics. This just is one, boron, a little click pellet, homeopathic, and we have it in stock in full script. So it's all linked down below. But very, very helpful for supporting the fatigue, reducing the fever. So if you want the spelling, it's all in the description. But also for the vascular component, it can reduce arrhythmia. And one of the things that they have found is that a lot of individuals are starting to have some irregular heartbeat because of the viral burden. Okay. So, I don't know what is going on here. Okay. So YouTube tried to kick me off again, but we're still kicking. And that particular tree, it's very medicinal. So in the Peruvian herbal category, it's definitely up there. I think it'd be one of the most powerful Peruvian herbs, even apart from maca. It's still manufactured and used for antimalarial drugs. And when we think about too, think about one of the drugs that's, getting a lot of discussion as an anti-malarial drug. Well, this is a homeopathic version. I mean, not potent, it's not toxic, but it can be very helpful in balancing of the body. So Lisbeth, when we do a specific digestive health video, I'll get more into that. But definitely very powerful at just really addressing a lot of the symptoms that we see with the virus. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I lost my mouse. Let's see. I can't scroll up. Okay, let's see. Any questions? And again, any specific off-topic questions? One, I have over 450 videos you can search from. So from prostate issues to candida, digestive stuff, heart health. I've done a lot of video content. I try and keep these live show questions to be specific to the live show content. And I don't ever on Instagram, I don't ever accept live chats. It's just not, we have YouTube going and they wouldn't be able to see you. And that's never really been successful. Aren't workers in hospitals typically younger? I guess it kind of depends. I mean, you know, I know a lot of doctors, I have doctor friends that are in their 50s, and I know a lot that are, you know, making rounds and do surgical privileges. So I wouldn't see that. Let's see. Oh, Sean, I don't know if Sean's on. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, Whitney, you have a little something coming for us. Yay, thank you. Okay, catching up on questions. Okay, so I think, I'm going to plug my mouse in. You know how sometimes you have to plug your mouse in? So I think my mouse bit the dust a little bit, but we'll get that energized. Okay, so, oh yeah, Pat reminds everybody, please remember to hit the like button and share. Shalace says EBV is so invasive. It really is. Elizabeth McDougall, I don't know what you're talking about. Seems like I'm being ignored. I don't know. Sorry you feel that way. Anga, can you use this for any viral fever? How much is the dose per day? Yes, you actually can. It is very, very specific to the symptoms you're feeling. And it does come in, there's like a 6 and a 3, 6, 100, 200x. So there's different, homeopathic has different calculations in terms of intensity. And it's one of these things, like homeopathy is very counterintuitive. Not a lot of people like it because they want to take a lot all at once. And homeopathics actually works a little bit spread out, and consistency is very impactful. Like some of my homeopathics, I'll have them, take a pellet and dissolve under the tongue every 15 minutes for 2 hours. And then it's every 3 or 4 hours. So it kind of depends. That would be something you'd work really closely with the homeopath based on your symptoms. Let's see, eWorld trying to order estrogen blocker and cortisol blocker. Where is the link? So I don't have those specifically on here, but I can grab, let me see if my mouse is open. Nope, it still has to get charged. If you go to my website and even other video content, Full Script is the link that I would send you to. And so if you go to naturalhealthresources.com, and there's a tab at the top, it has shop, and then there's like several different options. One is, I think I have listed Full Script store. Click in there, and then you're off and running. You can search and find anything. Lynn, Live in Life, Angus, are you still able to take the lymphatic testing? I don't know what lymphatic testing you're talking about, but am I going to Germany this summer? Is that the question? It's looking like that's a big NO because Germany has rolled out, this whole year supposed to be like our awesome year. And it's just, completely imploded. The wedding postponed, school's out, we're homeschooling and trying to balance growing a business, and Brian's at home. And then this summer I was supposed to do 6 weeks in Germany at the Foldy Institute for extended credentialing with Dr. Foldy herself. It's like the premier, the only lymphatic hospital. It's going to roll out and learn everything that they're doing. It's the pinnacle of lymphatic education. Not a lot of us have the ability to go off for 5 or 6 weeks at a time and do this. And then I was going to van life while I was there and travel. And then Brian and Gabriel were going to join me for 4 more weeks. And that's all just crashed and burned. So Germany is not happening. Angela Merkel declared at the end of last week that until the end of August, they were not going to have any gatherings of 50 or more people. And while the class size is small, we would be doing rounds in the hospital. And so it's definitely risky. And it's a small little, I want to say like a Bavarian town. It literally is at the hills of the Black Forest where I would be. The town is so small. It's still, Brian was even like, even if you did go, you can't travel. You know, I couldn't cross over to France like I wanted to do. We had a 7 or 8 day break, and I was going to van life it in Lyon, France. I don't know why. I just want to do that. It is heartbreaking, Elizabeth. So I'm very frustrated. And, but it's okay. So I'm going to share with you my new mantra. And you guys know I talk about mantras. I've equipped myself with a new one. My new mantra that, you know, all is well in my world is definitely an excellent mantra. I needed to kind of go a little bit more steroid based with my mantra. So my new mantra is I stand in truth and live and move with joy. I love life and circulate freely. So this is my new mantra. I have this everywhere, and I posted it up here on my office. And so even though we are not circulating freely per se, we still are free. And, you know, life goes on. It'll be better. You know, the good news is this year we're just going to hunker down. We're redoing the garden. Our kitchen is a disaster. Many of you new joiner haven't followed the adventures of our kitchen. On one of the trips that I have, I do education, traveling, and teach lymphatics. And one of the trips I was in Florida for, I got a call after I landed, and Brian's like, there's something wrong with the kitchen. The kitchen's like flooded underneath the sink, complete devastation, like mold. And I mean, the floor, we have a wood floor, original floor was flooded. And this is 2 weeks before, 2.5, 3 weeks before our wedding date. And so we had demo happen. Half of the kitchen demoed. They aired it out, and then quarantine happened. So we haven't even had that completed. You know, we're working off of, thank God, we have a refrigerator and our stove. And luckily, not even by our own intentions, but the insurance guy was like, well, let's just put in the utility sink. So we're rocking our house and cooking with a utility sink. Our dishwasher and our countertop and our sink and our garbage disposal is in the garage. So it's just so insane. I was talking about the lymphatic kits that we can purchase. I don't know what that is. I don't do specific lymphatic testing. I don't do any, vein dyes or anything like that in the clinic. I do test kits like hormone testing, cortisol testing. I don't know if that's what you're referencing. And I also sell a lot of digital products, which, by the way, I know a lot of you ask about a lot of different health conditions. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out my website, but I think there's 18 or 20 protocols. You know, they're not as tailored as they might be if you and I were to work together, but they're very powerful. And I can take the best of everything. And I have a lymphatic management protocol. I have a varicose vein, a PCOS. I have a multitude of thyroid related protocols for just general thyroid health, Hashimoto's, hyperthyroidism. I have ones on acne. I get lots of questions about acne. And then I also have male erectile dysfunction, prostate. My prostate fixes up. I have breast related. I actually have a course for breast health and reduction of cysts and fibroids and things like that. So, and endometriosis is another one. So do check those out specifically, because that's your best course. And then, if you need additional resources, go to the videos. Like my old purpose of putting out a massive amount of content, in the beginning I was doing 3, like when I kicked this off 2.5 years ago to go full time after our move, I put out 3 videos a week, which is a lot. Like I edit, I do all of that still, to be honest with you, to this day. And I need to make some pivoting changes here. But my website is www.naturalhealthresources.com. And then we have a lot of options. You'll even see my favorite 3-letter herbal. You can link to buy that. And, the coupon code is Melissa with the 3-letter herbal. You'll just see it blaringly right at the front page. We're working on a virus-specific page that has all of these videos put together in a blog kind of content, and then the map. So we're working on that behind the scenes. But yeah, I have a lot of resources. I've spent a lot of time on those. And I know I'm not the best at promoting myself. So, I put out all this, this is all free content. And, I don't treat this any different talking to these cameras, a phone and like my little Logitech camera up there, any different than I would if you were sitting across from me at my consult table or on, my treatment table. So Andrea says, Indo, I need to check that out. The booby course really helped reduce my breast cyst. Yay! Yes, I love that. Yeah, the booby care course, it's my only course right now, and it was a labor of love. There are 26 lessons. There's video, and then I've translated it into audio, so you don't even have to watch me. They're short, they're condensed, but they're really targeted. There's downloads, PDFs, and checklists and things like that that you can check. Elizabeth, if someone has Hashimoto's, do you think this vaccine will be detrimental to their body? I don't know. I mean, it's not out, and there's a lot of questions we have that we just don't know the answers to. It's one of those things too. I think people have to weigh, one, this is going to take a long time. I mean, the reality is you don't do vaccines or even existing medical protocols from clinical trials. Like, I know we're jumping through a lot of hoops in the scientific world, and the scientists it's driving them insane. Like, this is, the speed, the lightning speed of everything is just unprecedented. And scientists are driven by data. They are not driven by opinion. They're not driven by political polarization. They're driven by data and science and study of data. And we need trials. We need to see things happen to then make tweaks. That takes time. And the challenge is we live in a world of immediacy. And we saw this with Gabriel. Like, the kiddo woke me up this morning, like banging on the bed. Literally, I woke up and he's like, Mom, I wake up. And, he's up and he's like, I want you to be up. Well, that's what our world is like. We've got a virus. I want an antibody test. I want a vaccine for it. And it just doesn't work that way. So we just kind of have to scale back a little bit in terms of our expectations. And that's why complementary therapies, I added all of the ones I have forgotten to add. I have a whole playlist. I think there's 38, 39 videos in this live show playlist. Go back and watch them all. I need editing help. I'm going to try and have somebody cut and, kind of edit down in like bite-sized pieces, some of the portions of our live show, which would be great. Bill, first time listener. Yay. Welcome, Bill. Let's welcome Bill, everybody. We love that. I hope you will hit the subscribe button, Bill. Welcome to the community. Do you know anything about the elderberry supplement if you get symptoms of the virus? I can't say the name virus, Bill. Bill, I can't say the viral name because I get dinged here on YouTube. Censorship. Should you stop taking it? We don't have any data that you should not. I love elderberry. I use it a lot. I'm actually looking at maybe growing an elderberry bush in my garden that we're rocking out outside, which, by the way, if you guys want to see the garden adventures, I'm going to be posting my little bitty herbal seedlings. Like, they're really tiny, little green, little splurps of happiness. It's happening upstairs in my upstairs office. I've turned it into a green room or greenhouse. But I don't have any data on that to speak specifically. I know not everybody does well with elderberry, but elderberry sambucus, that is a very, very powerful herb. I think, adding in, let's see, like an astragalus is really beneficial. Oh, futuristic, thank you. Every day you give me a live chat. We have a $10 live chat from Futuristic. Thank you so much. I'm grateful. Like an astragalus would be a really good one. And Bill, do check out, I have probably a total, I think, of 12 or 13 immune boosting related videos. I break out different herbs. I also talk about the cytokine storm, which is an underlying facet and gets very much exacerbated by this virus based on people's underlying health conditions. So check that out, because there are also ways to address that too. There's just so many facets. There's not one thing that's going to fix everything. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in life, and it doesn't exist in natural medicine either. And everybody's body is different. And so we have to kind of adapt to your body, your symptoms, the language of your body. Let's see. Gwinnett, Danny, I don't know if I said your last name right. The virus, reality, staying apart. Yeah, it's a pain. Let's see. Sue S. Let's see. Is this working again? No. Apparently my mouse has completely died, so I got to charge that up. Okay. Sue S. I don't know. It's saying it needs a review, but I'll read it. Hi, doctor. Please, I want to know your advice about having lichen skin problem on my feet. It is dry and painful. I have Hashimoto's. Well, Hashimoto's, thyroid conditions definitely are a factor with calluses and feet. So that would be something to address the underlying cause. Thank you, Pat. Did you do a video on parasites? Yes, I actually have, a long time ago. So this is like the early catalog of like 2017. I have done one. I actually have a parasite. I actually need to do, one of my patients recommended this. I need to do this video. I can eradicate any type of digestive parasite. I have a protocol I've worked and developed, and it's magic. And I need to put that in a protocol form and put it up there and do a video on it. It's just, sometimes I have so many ideas, it's hard to just implement them, plus managing everything else. Let's see. I'm loving elderberry. Yeah, elderberry is great. I'm very excited. I want to grow it. That and huckleberry. I love huckleberry. I just don't know if it would grow here in Florida or Georgia. Can you tell I'm still not committed to living in Georgia? Let's see. Have a great, Elizabeth, thank you. Yay. All right. So do I have any information on skin writing? I don't know what that means, but wishing your family staying healthy. Oh, thank you. Same to you. Thanks, Lori. Okay. So here's what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm going to try. It's going to take a little bit of some rearranging of space and technology. Tomorrow, I'm going to bring to you live. I'm going to try. We're going to try to do digestive health. So later on today, I'm going to post a quiz for all of you. I'm going to quiz everybody on Facebook, and I'm going to quiz you guys on YouTube. Instagram, I'll do a story quiz. It's just a little different. They don't have that function yet in the stories, but what I want to do is I'm going to quiz you on a specific topic for the digestive health. And we're going to do a live session of the Talking Shit Show. It'll be set up different. Like I am going to have my podcast mic. I'll also have my lav mic for you guys on YouTube. I'll have my headphones in. I'm going to have to test it out a little bit. This is where my capacity as a technical person, I have none. And so I have to try this out and make sure it runs. It's going to probably be over in this space. But if you guys want to tune in, we're going to talk about digestive health. So just DM me any specific topics. Instagram, look for the stories on Instagram, and YouTube, I'll have that specific questionnaire on the community tab. So if you haven't subscribed, do hit the subscribe button. If you like this, excited, give me a thumbs up. And also for Instagram, screenshot, tag me. I really appreciate all you tagging me. It's wonderful. KDP, I'm so grateful for you. I've learned so much, and you have calmed a lot of my fears. Oh, good. That was my intention. So you guys help me stay focused, and we're in it together, friends. We're in it for the long haul, and we will get through it. And my intention is to help you all be healthy and safe while you go through this. And, to really also break down, you guys, I have to get like a filing accordion. I have massive amounts of paperwork that I keep printing out, reading, and I will continue to bring this. So keep watching, keep tuning in, and really appreciates it. So, all right, everybody. Thank you. Have a great day. I hope you all are well, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, Instagram. All right. So futuristic, thank you. Another super chat. And I'm hoping I can log off because my mouse is a little wonky. Let's see. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate the delete message. Holy cow. Okay. So let's see here. Is my mouse working? My mouse isn't working. We might go on for a little bit. Okay, so Shalais, can you take Tonya? Uh-oh, I lost it. Hold on, let's see. Oops. Gosh, my mouse is still not working. Oh, you know what? Let me turn it on. Oh, that's stupid. Let's see. Did it do it? Hold on, you guys. Sorry. This is like my lack of technical expertise. Let's see. It looks like, can't tell. I think it's charging. Let's see. Did it charge? Let me take down my little net. Okay, let's see. Up, connected. Okay, yay! The mouse is connected. Oh gosh, I swear. Technology, it's just like, it's necessary, but it's hard. It's sometimes hard for me. Oh, Maria, thank you. $10 super chat. I appreciate it. You guys are great. Thank you again for all your support. I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's, you know, I have my days just like you do, and the last 2 days have been kind of challenging, and that's why I have a whole new mantra. I got to kind of get refocused, and you know, we're gonna get through this. Yesterday, I will tell you this short little story, and then we'll tune off. I literally am like, okay, we're okay on everything. We've got our little deep freeze, but Gabriel has this one lunch meal that he's really enjoying, and I just knew we were getting to the end of it and he was going to have a heart attack. So I checked out Instacart, and you know, in the last 3 weeks, it's been like a 6-7 day wait. I don't know what happened. I think Georgia just feels like, oh, everything's back to normal. Nobody was Instacart shopping. I literally got in within an hour. I placed an order at both Target and Publix, and they were shopped and delivered. And I got toilet paper. I was so excited. So that was really exciting. And I actually managed to get some Aldi stuff. So I did a little mini Aldi gardening. It's by no means my normal gardening haul, or any hauls for that matter. But I think we're going to go back on Wednesday, have a shopper do something, and maybe do a quarantine Aldi haul video. I don't know. So I'm thinking about that, and it's just really crazy. So anyway, those were really exciting points yesterday. And, you know, they all, oh, and by the way, I have hand sanitizers and a whole bunch of stuff that came, and actually a new product that I want to highlight. These really cool wipes that we can all use, like, you know, because we're all going to get back to normal. Like, we also are going to need to think about tools that we're going to need to have with us, and, you know, anytime we're out and about, or even going to doctor's offices and normal life practices. And so, but all of my shoppers, I have a whole bunch of snacks outside, like healthy snacks, like my little paleo keto bars and some organic snacks and things like that. They all took snacks, and they all took hand sanitizers. And I'm really excited by that because we have to support those workers. I would love, to be honest with you, the one thing I'd love to see would be the CDC to pull a report. You know, they've done the characteristics of personnel here. I know that's what we talked about today. Oh, thanks, Lori. I would love for them to pull characteristics of the frontline workers, like grocery shoppers, you know, the grocery store professionals. And I will tell you, like my Instacart shopper at Publix, I even got my, that one sanitizing stuff that I'd shown in that one video. I mean, we use Forces of Nature and all the other stuff, but like this one, I'm killing everything. And we use that kind of on the outside. They had that, and I was like, you know, I sent him a little message in the chat, and I was like, you know, I always thank them for shopping because I know they're, you know, putting themselves at risk. And I said, I'm really hoping that you might be able to get toilet paper. And I was like, crossing my fingers, maybe some disinfectant wipes. And he's like, I haven't seen it yet. I guess in the while he's been shopping. And then he messaged back, and he's like, you're in luck. And he was sending me these photos. They literally had just brought in stuff off the truck, and like the Clorox wipes were piled up, and they, you know, they have a minimum, but he was like, you're in luck. And I'm like, I should play the lotto. I literally felt like I had won the lotto. Toilet paper and sanitizing wipes like that. I kind of was like, gosh, we've hit like a whole new level, right? But you know, I did that. I totally did that with the intention of us being safe and continuing to stay home. Like we're not going to adhere to, I'm not getting my hair cut. We're not getting our hair dyed. We're not going to go to the theater, Netflix. We went down the rabbit hole the other day into the Game of Thrones. We started season 1 over again. And oh my goodness, I think that's why I was up last night. So futuristic. Melissa, when I get my inheritance, you're getting a few big super chats. Oh my God. Seriously, you're so great. I really appreciate the super chats. I just appreciate you joining us. And to be honest with you, for all of you, that is such a great reward. So thank you. And again, thank you. I'm beyond grateful. So, all right, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, different setup. We'll be going live, and I'll be doing a podcast. The podcast isn't live; that gets edited, so it'll sound different. But the audio will be recorded on my laptop. So, or I don't know how I'm going to do this. I might actually set it up here, have the laptop tuned in, and then still go live here. I don't know. I'll figure it out, but we'll work it out. But you guys will be a part of it and get to see that action mode. All right. Thanks, everybody. Grateful. Have a great day. Thank you for the super chats, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.